Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Miguel Newman. I am back with late breaking news. Just announced yesterday, Legendary has confirmed that Godzilla vs. Kong is coming out in 2020. Now, with this video, I originally wanted to talk about what I think was the collapse of the Legendary universe. Now I'm going to talk about the formation and everything into it, so this may turn into a long video. Anyway, let's get into it. When Godzilla 2014 came out, and even before that, when we first heard that Legendary was making a new Godzilla movie, I believe it was in 2010, we first found out they were in talks to make the movie, and they confirmed it. It was originally set for a 2012 release date. We didn't hear anything about the Legendary Godzilla film until 2012, where it was confirmed it was coming out in 2014, but that Legendary and Warner Brothers were making it. As a result of that, when Legendary pushed the film back to 2014, that's when everything was finalized and we got Godzilla 2014. That's old news. Everybody knows that or knows the story behind that. Anyway, when Legendary announced that they were getting Godzilla in America, of course, rumors started that could we see a new King Kong versus Godzilla? The majority laughed the idea off. They thought King Kong vs. Godzilla was a one-time thing. They thought we weren't getting the film anymore. Godzilla 2014 comes out. It's successful at the box office. It's not a huge hit, but it does enough to get Godzilla 2 and Godzilla 3 confirmed. We go to Comic-Con that year in 2014. Legendary announces King Kong, Kong Skull Island, and Pacific Rim 2. Now, Pacific Rim came out in 2013. It wasn't that big of a success, but it gained a cult following. Monster fans liked it. So, originally the rumors were we going to get Godzilla vs. Pacific Rim eventually, because both of these franchises were made by Legendary and Warner Brothers. There was even a rumor that originally Legendary wanted Godzilla to be the star of Pacific Rim. So Godzilla, I don't know if we would have still got Jaegers, or if Godzilla would have just fought the Pacific Rim Kaiju, or if Godzilla would have just been in Pacific Rim, but that was the rumor. Guillermo del Toro wanted to make Pacific Rim its own thing, so we ended up with Pacific Rim and Godzilla as two movies. So, of course, rumors of a crossover between the two began happening. When Skull Island was announced at Comic-Con in 2016 alongside Godzilla 2, Godzilla 3, it was announced we were getting King Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra to join Godzilla, and we were getting Pacific Rim 2. Rumors of a potential Legendary Cinematic Universe crossing over all three of these monster franchises were running rampant, and of course the rumors of Godzilla and King Kong were back at full force, this time with Pacific Rim added on. Legendary would later move on to Universal, who are the current right holders of King Kong. I believe that is where Kong is currently. He's with Universal. Anyway, when Legendary moved with them, that increased the chances of Godzilla vs. King Kong happening again in a modern setting. Pacific Rim Warner Brothers let that go with Legendary, so Legendary and Universal had Kong Skull Island. They had Pacific Rim 2, but Warner Brothers was holding on to Godzilla, so that was the last hurdle between a Godzilla and King Kong fight. Now, last month, we got rumors that Legendary was trying to fit Godzilla vs. King Kong into their schedule, and there was rumors that would later turn out to be true that Skull Island moved production from Universal to Warner Brothers so that Godzilla and Kong could have the same producers and the same marketers. Anyway, they wanted Legendary and Warner Brothers to have both franchises for a crossover. Pacific Rim 2 got delayed during this time, and now it's on hold indefinitely. It's lost its release date window, and honestly, we don't know if the movie's going to be canceled or if it's still going to come out altogether. As a result, however, Godzilla and Kong were still moving forward with their release dates. We still were getting Skull Island in March of 2017. We're still getting Godzilla 2 June 2018. We just lost Pacific Rim. This was going to be the topic of my original video. I was going to talk about how the legendary cinematic universe was collapsing before it was even formed, because we had lost Pacific Rim. Even though we were getting Godzilla vs. Kong, we weren't going to get Godzilla, Kong, and Pacific Rim in one movie. But yesterday, Legendary came out and they announced Godzilla vs. Kong for 2020 and confirmed that they are merging the Godzilla and Kong universes to create a Kaiju cinematic universe. Now that is huge news. That is the first official confirmation that Godzilla and Kong are set to collide again. The ultimate Godzilla movie is coming out again in 2020, even though it took a loss of Pacific Rim 2 for it to happen. Now, Pacific Rim was always hard to fit into this Godzilla Kong universe because of the first Kaiju in the Pacific Rim universe is Axehead, or Trespasser, when he attacks San Francisco, and then Pacific Rim was in the future. But we don't have to necessarily rule out Pacific Rim. They could put it back into this combined universe they're doing later, but as of right now, it is hard to put in. But we are getting Kong and Godzilla. Now, this is Legendary's current plan. They're going to do Kong Skull Island in March 2017. Then they're going to do Godzilla 2 in June of 2018. And then Godzilla vs. Kong is coming out in 2020. Those are the three movies they confirmed right now. But that doesn't mean they're only getting these three movies. In the Legendary press release, they say that they're uniting the universes of King Kong, Godzilla, and other iconic monsters. Now, here's where some fun speculation comes into play here. Legendary says other iconic monsters. Now, it's safe to assume that this is simply meaning that Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, Godzilla, and Kong are all be united under the same roof, but let's assume for a minute that Warner Brothers is talking about other monsters they have. We could potentially see the Ray Harryhausen monsters like Rehosaurus. We can see them, the Black Scorpion, all those old classic 50s monsters brought into this universe and updated for modern audiences. The Valley of Guani, I think I said that right. That's another one we could potentially see in this universe. The Kraken or Kronos from Clash of the Titans. I don't think some of these monsters are getting in, but those are just examples if they mean iconic universes. There was also, on Toho Kingdom, there was some fan thinking that with the new Gamera trailer, what if Legendary went and got Gamera or Ultraman and brought them into this universe? Because, like I said, they most likely mean Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan, but there's also that slight chance that other iconic monsters could mean other iconic monsters. Like I say, the way the wording is, you wouldn't be uniting Godzilla with Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan because they're already united in the Godzilla universe. But the article says they're uniting the universes of King Kong, Godzilla, and other iconic monsters. So that just has me thinking, who else could potentially be in this Legendary Kaiju cinematic universe? We could be in for some good stuff. Like I said, the Blob, I think, is owned by Warner Brothers. They could bring something like that in, like say them, the giant ants. You could do a lot of things with these monsters. Like I say, giant insects in the world today is believable, like I say, because we don't know what nuclear radiation does. We don't know what gene splicing can do. They could potentially have a whole bunch of these old classic monsters brought back in that nobody, like say the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, the Rehosaurus could make an appearance in this. Another thing I wanted to talk about, they also say there's going to be a mix of classic and new monsters. Classic monsters clearly right now are Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra. Maybe they could get some other Toho monsters like Anguirus or Gorosaurus. They could put these dinosaurs on Skull Island. I would love to see Gorosaurus come back to Skull Island and serve as the T-Rex antagonist, or Guani, if they are getting other iconic monsters. I think Anguirus could be good in Skull Island, I believe, or just if they wanted to use Toho monsters, like I said, Anguirus, Gorosaurus, Manda would be good in Skull Island to show Kong is king over these animals. Another thing that they mentioned, like I say, is new monsters. So we're getting more Mutos, more original monsters. I don't mind the original monsters because I personally like seeing Godzilla fight something new, but Imagine if we watch Skull Island and Kong just rips apart a female Muto to show that he's on par with Godzilla. To set up this Godzilla versus Kong confrontation, Kong just runs through a female Muto. There's also, we could potentially see a Rodan solo movie again, a Mothra solo movie, maybe even a King Ghidorah solo movie. I don't think King Ghidorah would get a solo movie, but we could, if this universe works and people go start to see these movies, I think we will see a Rodan on his own film, a Mothra on her own film. We'll keep seeing Godzilla films, we'll keep seeing Kong films, and eventually Legendary has a potential to set up kaiju versions of the Avengers with this. Like I say, we do a Godzilla, a Rodan, a Mothra, and a Kong film, and then we bring them all together for a Destroy All Monsters type film. Like I say, we can make an Avengers out of this kaiju cinematic universe. Legendary could make their own monster. What if, like, say, Godzilla was inspired by Kong back in 1933, so kind of, in a way, Kong passed the torch to Godzilla. Godzilla could pass the torch to a new Legendary monster. Legendary could mess around, make their own kaiju, and he could blow up and become the next big kaiju for the next 50 years. The same way Kong inspired Godzilla. Godzilla could inspire a monster on his own. Like I said, I don't think Gamera is coming into this, but with the last Gamera trailer we got, what if Legendary was able to make a deal and they were able to get Gamera into this universe? A movie with Gamera, Kong, and Godzilla would be like just I think that's any kaiju fan's dream, to see those three on screen together. Like I say, that's more far out there. I'm just mentioning the chances. Another thing I think is far out there, but you don't necessarily throw the possibility away. What if they made a giant Indominus Rex or a T-Rex to fit into this universe? Because Legendary is working with Universal. I don't think that's going to happen, but a lot of people said Godzilla versus Kong was never happening. They said Spider-Man was never joining the cinematic universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We thought we were never going to get Mayweather versus Pacquiao in the boxing world. 2015 has been the year of everything you thought was never going to happen is starting to happen now. Dragon Ball Z just came out with 2 new movies and a new TV show. We thought that anime was done. This is turning out to be the year of things that you never thought you were going to see. You never thought it was going to happen, and they're starting to happen. So I'm calling it right now. Godzilla versus Gamera, Toho's going to make it. I'm calling it right now. If worst case scenario, I'm made a fool of. Best case scenario, Godzilla and Gamera is going to happen within the next 10 years. But that's my bold prediction. I'm calling it. Star Wars is coming back. Nobody thought we were getting a Star Wars movie after Revenge of the Sith. Like I say, this is just the year of, it's good to be a kaiju fan. It's good to be a sci-fi fan. It's good to be a nerd in general right now. Like, we used to get picked on in the 90s for liking monsters and comic book superheroes, and now it's the cool thing to like these guys. It's just awesome for me. We are in the age, I'm going to do another video on this, we are in the age of a kaiju boom. We have not been in a kaiju boom like this since the late 60s, early 70s, since the Showa period. We got Gamera's coming back, Godzilla's coming back, Ultraman's coming back, Kong is back, and then Godzilla versus Kong. This is the time to be a kaiju fan. We are in an age of monsters not having been seen since the 60s, and Legendary is going to do it. And I just hope Legendary can pull this off and they can make this successful, and they can bring the Age of Monsters back. But yes, Godzilla vs. Kong is confirmed for 2020. It's 5 years away. A lot could happen. I sadly don't want to say this. It could still get canceled, but I hope it doesn't. So what we as fans need to do, we need to go see Skull Island. We need to go see Godzilla 2. Maybe even twice. Hopefully, I believe it'll be a good movie. I made plans about Godzilla 2. I've got to do a whole new video because I think Kong is going to change my original plans for Godzilla 2. But as I said before, we are in an age of monsters not having been seen since the original Showa series, and Godzilla has started it again just like he did in 1954. He started the Kaiju universe in 1954. He started the boom that led into the 60s. Now, Legendary, with their 2014 Godzilla movie, they've started it again in modern times. This has the potential to work. If people go see these movies, they don't even have to be huge successes, if they just make enough money to where Legendary is getting their money back and some profit, like if they get enough, like I said, if they get enough to make their profit back and make some money and profit on it, we could see, I don't know how many monster movies we see, but if they do start turning into big successes, because if there's one kaiju movie that has a shot at making $1 billion at the box office, it's Godzilla vs. Kong. These two are the biggest mainstream giant monster icons. If there is one movie that can do it, it is Godzilla vs. Kong. All they need is good characters, a good plot, and let Godzilla and Kong kick the shit out of each other. And this movie can make $1 billion. Don't cut away from the fight scenes like in Godzilla 2014. Like I said, I didn't mind that. Casual fans were very upset. Let Godzilla and Kong fight. Get some good characters. Get a good plot. This movie has a chance of making $1 billion at the box office. Personally, I think it'll only make, I'm estimating maybe 800 million worldwide when it's finished. But like I said, we don't know. I might make a box office prediction video later for Godzilla Kong, but like I say, this video was originally, I was worried that we were seeing the collapse of the Legendary Universe before it happened. Turns out Legendary Universe is not only stronger than ever, it's confirmed. I like to give a shout out to Rob from ETN. He called it a year ago. I called it alongside of him, but I wasn't making videos, but Rob called it last year at the Comic-Con. The writing was on the wall. Was it last? No, the 2014 Comic-Con, not last year. Anyway, the writing was on the wall. The minute Legendary walked out on stage and said, we're making Godzilla 2 and 3, we're making Pacific Rim 2, and by the way, we got King Kong, you had to know something was on the walls. Nobody is going to make a Godzilla movie and a King Kong movie and not think about, hey, Godzilla versus Kong, we could actually do this now. King Kong vs. Godzilla, the 1962 version, is still it made the most money out of any Godzilla movie in Japan, except maybe Godzilla 2014. I'd have to confirm that. But, like I say, Godzilla vs. Kong is going to print money if it is done right. It has potential to make $1 billion if they do it right. And like I say, I'm just excited to be a fan. Like, this is the best time to be a fan. No one thought we were getting Godzilla vs. Kong ever again. Now we're about to get it in with America, in CGI, the grandest stage of it all. This has potential to be the ultimate Godzilla movie. I thought the Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster remake, because Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster is one of my favorite Godzilla movies. It's in the top 5 for me. I thought that had the potential to be my favorite Godzilla movie. If Godzilla vs. Kong turns out right, this could be my favorite Godzilla movie by far. Like I say, unless they do something crazy, like put Gamera in there, or something even crazy, they put Ultraman in it. But yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong has the potential to be my favorite Godzilla movie. And if they do Godzilla, Kong, Mothra, and Rodan versus King Ghidorah on the big screen, I'm just gonna die right there in the movie theater. Okay, so anyway, thank you for your time. This was my Legendary Cinematic Universe video. Everybody have a nice day. I'm Miguel Newman. If you enjoyed this video, please like, rate, comment, and subscribe. Have an enjoyable day.